All right. Well, let's see. It disappeared. Oh, there we go. Come on. Okay. And there we are. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome, Lydia. Glad you could join us. You are the first among the many. Hi there.
Hiya. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to sit and listen and learn something new.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, where are you a coordinator?
I'm a development manager at Neighborcare Health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Our director Tabitha will be speaking today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Got it. Okay. I didn't recognize the name. I have Tabitha on my script, but not you yet. So Lydia, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And pardon me, I'm going to consume a mint just so my mouth is moist.
Oh, you're you're totally fine. I'm still sipping on my coffee.
So where is neighborhood healthcare located exactly?
So we have about 33 different clinics throughout King County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and our like administrative / kind of like corporate location is at the Pacific Tower in downtown Seattle.
Okay.
In like the Beacon Hill area.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah. What about you? Where are you located at? Are you at UW?
We are back in person.
Wow, how exciting.
Yeah, last year the team only met twice, maybe 3 times in person, masked. I'm in a room by myself, so I can take my mask off. But we're in person. We're in, you know where the Roosevelt Street is? We're about 45th and Roosevelt.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm mildly familiar with the campus. I'm a
Okay.
Coug myself,
Yes.
but
So you know Ferdinand's and Cougar Gold.
of course, staples.
Well, the Pullman, when Connie Kravis was Connie Kravis just recently retired 2 years ago from being the head of advancement here at the university for many years, but before that she was in Pullman. And when I was working at the School of Law, they tried to recruit me, and they actually flew me over to Pullman. I met with Connie and got to see the campus and etc. So
Yeah, it's
it
beautiful out there.
is really fun.
Yeah, it's its own little world.
Mm-hmm.
I always laugh because I feel like I'm such a love-hate about Pullman. I think it boasts a lot of like that kind of tight-knit community because it is just so small and condensed, and the school is absolutely the city. But with that being said, there's always some level of people forget that there's a world outside of the Palouse.
Oh,
Yeah. So I found, granted, like my freshman and sophomore year, I really enjoyed. And then my junior year, I studied abroad for a year. So by the time I came back for my senior year, I was like, I don't know if I'm like for the wheat field anymore.
well, you could always go over the 8 miles to Moscow and whoop it up in Idaho.
Honestly, and I definitely did that. They actually have some really good restaurants out in Moscow, which is like
Really?
Yeah, you would never anticipate. They have got a fabulous Mexican restaurant. They have this really cool bagel shop that does like specialty bagel sandwiches. An essential.
Wow. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dean Spear, and I'm the senior campaign assistant for the UW Combined Fund Drive. We are a seasonal team working throughout the fall campaign, with the exception of 2 employees who work year round. And we are just thrilled to have everyone on board today, including the listeners and the speakers both. And our first speaker is Tabitha Klaus, who's the Director of Development of Neighborhood Health. So Tabitha, if you want to go ahead and take it away, and Annabelle, if you could work your magic so she's good to go, please. And I'm going to mute myself. Thank you. Welcome again. Welcome everyone. We're happy you're here.
Awesome. Nice to meet everyone. It's actually Neighborcare Health. There's also neighborhood place as well, but a common mistake. Nice to see everyone. Oh, if you could have everyone mute themselves, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Like Dean said, I'm Tabitha Klaus. I'm the Director of Development for Neighborcare Health. We are a community health center, a grouping of community health centers in Seattle. We predominantly serve our Seattle residents. I'm going to ask the age-old question. Can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. The classic every Zoom. So I'm just going to run through really quickly a little bit more about Neighborcare and our mission, our history, and what services we have. Sure. Okay, so the mission of Neighborcare, our overall arching, it's in every conference room, is everyone deserves quality healthcare, 100% access with 0 health disparities. Neighborcare's mission is to provide comprehensive healthcare to families and individuals who have difficulty accessing care, responds with sensitivity to the needs of our culturally diverse patients, and advocate and work for others to improve the overall health and status of the communities we serve. Basically, what that comes down to is that we think health and human services are a right for every individual, and we're here to be able to provide that. We're a federally qualified health center, which means we actually receive federal funding to do that, to do just that. in order to really take away any of those barriers to care that people are in our communities are serving. So a little bit of history. Neighborcare has a really interesting history. We started back in the 60s out of a group of different smaller health centers that actually started in the back of bars in old fire stations. One of our oldest clinics is the Pike Place Market Clinic that started right there in an old bar. So we really grew out of a need that the community saw. They saw that people, specifically downtown, had no access to healthcare. So volunteer nurses were our nurses, volunteer doctors. Then as we got established, more of these community health centers started popping up around Seattle and became a consortium in the 70s and received that government federal support that I mentioned in the 80s, which really allowed us to expand. And so we expanded throughout the 80s to 2000s and are now a grouping of over 30 clinics. And the Affordable Care Act and other government assistance really helped us do that. And what's unique about Neighborcare is we are actually the largest provider of school-based health centers. So we are in 15 different schools throughout the Seattle Public School District, actually clinics located there, working with students and staff to make sure that our student population have easy access. We pull them right out of class to get their medical, dental, behavioral health needs taken care of, and are really able to be a home for these families as well. So it's a great way to reach out to these communities. It's a safe place that they already go to every day for school. So where are we located? We are all located throughout Seattle, and we actually have one clinic in Olympia as well. But as you can see, our grouping, and so about half of our clinics are school-based, half are standalone clinics as well. We provide medical, dental, behavioral health services, pharmacies, and homeless and housing outreach. So we actually go out to affordable housing, transitional housing, and have nurses on site at a lot of different affordable housing throughout Seattle to provide care for our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness. Beyond that, we have pregnancy care, we have pediatric care, we do dental fillings, we do mental health, social work, alcohol, drugs, smoking. You really name it around health and human services, Neighborcare has some sort of connection. And we really rely on our partners as well. Those affordable housing, those homeless outreach, the schools. We are a big partner organization. We're reaching out to different partners to see how we as a healthcare organization can come along and serve the clients that you also serve as well. So we see most of our patients are uninsured, Medicaid or Medicare. And so we really get most of our income from the insurance, but we don't turn anyone away. As part of our federally qualified health center, we want to provide services no matter if someone can pay, no matter their ability to pay. And so we offer a sliding fee discount to our patients, typically $20 for a medical appointment or $45 for a dental appointment. But again, if they don't even have $20 toward their medical, we'll never, ever turn them away. And we receive federal funding to help with that. Really unique thing as well is we provide language interpretation and cultural services. So if you go to each of our clinics have such distinct personalities based on the communities that they're in. So our Columbia City sees a huge Afghan community. And so we have a lot of people from the community that work at the clinic. And so they're speaking the languages. We have over 55 different languages spoken by our staff that help reflect our patient population as well. So we're very proud of the very distinct personalities. Our Ballard Clinic really focuses on our homeless. We have Georgetown is right smack down in the Georgetown area. So we're really proud of all the different personalities that our clinics have. And we see a lot of staff coming from the communities that they're serving. They go there as a baby. I was just talking to a midwife the other day that was born with a midwife from Neighborcare. Her mom went to Neighborcare. She went all the way up through her education with Neighborcare, went to a school-based health center, and then went and got her midwifery certification and is now a midwife at Neighborcare, serving her community, which I love that story. So what's our patient demographics? In 2020, we saw about 52,000 patients, seeing about 195,000 visits. About 7,000 of our patients were experiencing homelessness in 2020. We saw about 2,000 school-based. This is usually much higher, but with the pandemic, our school-based clinics and our homeless had to really shift around to make it accessible, as our school-based and our dental were closed for quite a bit. And just with changing around COVID and virtual visits, it was definitely difficult. We really saw that our patients were the ones being affected the most by COVID. And so we had to be really creative, and our staff pivoted really quickly. And about 40% of our visits last year were actually done virtually, which is great for those who have access to computers and have their own phone line at home. But we really saw that our school-based and homeless program saw a huge decrease because people didn't have access to that. So we were able to reopen our doors and are really trying to be creative to get those people back in to see their primary care provider. As I mentioned before, vast majority of our patients are on Medicaid, 41%, and then 30% are uninsured. So they're actually coming in with no assistance to be able to get their health and dental and mental health services. But again, we provide that sliding fee scale, and we have federal funding to help bridge those gaps. So what have we done with COVID? We provide free COVID testing and vaccinations, as a lot of other public health organizations do, at all of our clinics. So you can come in, make an appointment, and get tested. Since March of 2020, we've done over 14,000 tests, and a vast majority of these are actually done in our homeless outreach. They were going to tent locations, they were going to affordable housing, they're going out into the community to make sure that we stopped any outbreaks in that population right away. And they had a really great connection and foundation already with our patients experiencing homelessness. So they were able to help get them vaccinated as well. Since the beginning of 2021, we've fully vaccinated just about 3,000 people and are continually to see people come into the clinic to get vaccinated. Now that Pfizer is approved for our school age, we're going to be doing a lot of mass vaccinations at the schools because we're already there. Our clinic and our staff are already in the schools. All of our schools have already been approved to give out vaccinations. And so we'll be rolling that out as soon as we can. Like I said before, 42% of our visits in 2020 were conducted virtually, which has been a unique opportunity, but also really showing those gaps where the typical medical services aren't really created for a lot of those underserved populations. Our housing street outreach team, those are the ones who are going out to those experiencing homelessness, have partnered really strongly with public health to make sure that we're out there making sure people are getting tested with COVID, are also just not missing their normal appointments and medical appointments, and making sure that those people aren't falling through the cracks during the pandemic. So looking to the future, Neighborcare is in the midst of a huge equity, diversity, and inclusion initiative. We just hired a director of EDI. We're doing some strategic planning on that. We're really making sure that our staff and our values are really reflecting what our mission is. Our mission is already around serving anyone, no matter what. And so we're making sure that our practices and how we're really forming everything throughout the organization, from payroll to development to our clinic staff, are really having everything is centered around that equity, diversity, inclusion initiative. Our staff are tired. They're really, really tired. They're frontline staff. They've been working hard hours. We're understaffed. So we're really looking ways to engage and make sure that our staff are feeling supported. My team specifically has been doing a ton on just getting meals donated for our staff, making sure that they come into the clinic after working a hard week, after a year and a half of crazy, both personal and with their work, that they're feeling just a little bit of gratitude from our community. So we've been working a ton on just sort of those in-kind donations. And then we're working on patient engagement. So we saw 52,000 patients in 2020. Our normal number is 70,000 a year. So we saw a huge decrease, which means 20,000 of our normal patients weren't seen in 2020 because of COVID. That can be a variety of different things. And the statistics are out there. A lot of people are uninsured now. People lost their jobs. The people had to change jobs. And so there's a huge need for community health centers like Neighborcare. And there's a variety of us in the area. But there's a huge need for us in the community right now because people are going without seeing their medical provider, without seeing their dental provider. And now with our huge need for mental health services, we are expanding our behavioral health program by a ton. So the need is out there. What we're really looking for is making sure that we have support and that people know about us. So we are really focusing on development, not only getting donations, because of course, funding is amazing, but also that people know about Neighborcare, so that your neighbor who lost their job working at your local restaurant now doesn't have insurance, knows that there's a place they can go for their medical appointment, and they don't have to worry about if they can afford it or if their insurance covers it. So that's all I have for you all right now. But I love sharing about Neighborcare Health. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit enthusiastic. So I'm always happy to answer any other questions, or I'm always available by email, or if you'd like to come see one of our clinics, I'm happy to do a tour as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. Excellent, fabulous, fabulous work that you do and terrific presentation. And we will take questions, but at the end of the session. So thank you again, Tabitha. I'm just really pleased to introduce our second speaker, who is Loretta Kale, the Director of Home Ownership with Parkview Services. So welcome, Loretta, and take it away. And you'll have to unmute yourself.
I muted myself when Tabitha was talking, so I didn't interrupt her, forgot. That's a problem we've had with Zoom these last 2 years. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Again, I am the statewide director of homeownership with Parkview Services. I want to share some of the important things that we've been doing at Parkview. Some of you may be familiar with our services. Were you going to put up my video or my PowerPoint? Dean?
I'm grabbing
Yes,
it right now.
Annabelle.
Okay. Anyway, again, kind of touching on what Tabitha talked about with the struggles that we've had during COVID. Of course, a lot of the folks that we serve have intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so, you know, normal engagement, things that we would normally have done with them, we had to make adjustments to. And so I'm here to talk about how we're persevering and all the amazing things that we've been able to accomplish in 2020 and 2021. So Parkview Services. So some of the things that we offer, we have Parkview Group Home. We've been around since 1976. And we are the longest running group home in the state of Washington at 50 years and counting. So we're very proud of that. It is the focus of our mission. How we began this work and why we're here is to support our intellectual and developmental disability clients, residents, friends, family. You can call them anything you want, but they're very special and a big part of our heart, and why we work so hard to make sure that we have a lot of inclusive opportunities. Go to the next one. We have an affordable housing program. What we provide is the home. So we don't necessarily provide the supportive care services. We rely very heavily on like the ARC has a lot of opportunities, so we partner with them. But what we are constantly doing is trying to find new ways, whether it be a condo, a townhome, new and inventive ways to provide more housing for, again, our folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to keep them in a community, centered place where they can be with their friends, where they get to choose where they live. And so we just purchased 2 additional homes in Snohomish County in 2020 and 2021. So we're very excited about that. It's a long process. People don't realize how much red tape there is in trying to open a group home. And so we're very excited that we've been able to continue providing more resources and, more opportunities to keep everyone housed. The Homeownership Program is very near and dear to my heart. I have been in this world for 40 years, seen a lot of changes, never seen anything like I've seen in the last 2 years, and not even just with COVID, but with inventory. You hear a lot about how great interest rates have been, but what we don't talk about is how that can displace folks. Gentrification has come up a lot in conversations. As we create beautiful neighborhoods and places that people want to live, the cost of housing has really pushed some people out of the opportunity to be a homeowner. We think it's especially important. I'm the lead for the lender group we've been doing the statewide BIPOC meeting, and it's really important conversation in how to create equity for everyone to be able to be a homeowner, to be able to grow equity, to be your own landlord. It is the greatest way to build wealth throughout time. And that's just proven and statistically has never changed. So what we like to do is help them create purchasing power. So we provide housing counseling. We provide first-time homebuyer classes. All of those are at no cost. We're still doing them virtually. I do them every Saturday. It's 5 hours. And there's just not enough free education. So I highly encourage everyone to participate in those. And we also have down payment assistance. I've been able to expand our program statewide this year so that we can find pockets of opportunity. We have found that people can work virtually, and so they don't have to live by their job. And maybe they're able to relocate into maybe a smaller town, maybe a more rural setting, but where they can still find affordable home ownership. And we've actually been able to layer up to 125,000 when I combine Housing Trust Fund, CDBG, Skagit County money. I try to layer. Sometimes I may have 5 different programs layered for one family in order to be able to give them the purchasing power they need to be able to actually compete in this market. And I have closed 7 of these loans this year for families with disabilities. So it's out there. I will help you find it and help you get qualified. But what we don't want you to do is give up. So anybody that has any interest in this program or has a family member or somebody you think that could benefit from this, please have them reach out to us. The next program that we have is also very important, and that's our mortgage default program. You know, once the moratorium ended, and now I've got people that haven't made a house payment in over 1.5 years, what happens? We work with those families. We work with their servicers. We help them. And again, there's no cost to this program. There's no median income limits. There's no qualifiers. You just need to be a homeowner. But we will help you get a modification. Whatever it takes, even if you can't afford to stay in your home, we're going to help you do a graceful exit. You know, a lot of times you're able to get the lender to give you first and last so that you can move into an apartment and you don't have the resources to even pay for the moving truck. We can negotiate a lot of things, but we're really helping right now keep our homeowners where they are. We don't want them to become homeless, obviously, and rentals are really tough to find. So the more that we can do to work with their servicers, I've got 5 full-time housing counselors just working in mortgage default right now. So that tells you the need is great right there. And one of our last and my favorite programs is our Camp Parkview, which we normally do on Vashon Island, again, with the disruption and being able to be live and in person. Last year we did some virtual things. This year we're doing small outings at different parks, so they're all outdoors. But we still want to be able to provide Camp Parkview. We need your help with this. We want to be able to offer this to everyone who would like to come at no cost to them. And that's where we really need the community support as well. So anything you can do to support any of our programs, we would love that. But most importantly, let people know that we're here. We're, again, highly visible in Snohomish, Kings, Skagit, but we are moving out statewide into Eastern Washington. And wherever we can help people, again, find affordable, stable, safe housing, that's what we want to do. Thank you.
And thank you, Loretta. Wowza, I knew nothing about Parkview, and I'm just so impressed. Our third speaker is Lindsay Hastings, the annual giving manager from Treehouse. And Annabelle, if you could bring up the slide with the photograph of Treehouse, just so people can see there really is a treehouse at Treehouse. And I've been very fortunate with my CA team, not this year, but pre-COVID, to actually tour Treehouse, and was so impressed with the great work that they do. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Lindsay has to say. So there's the Treehouse. It's down in Rainier Valley, and it's just a very creative building, and I would love to work there. And I'm sure it is fun to work there. So Lindsay, if you would take it away, please. Thank you so much.
That's so funny. Thank you. I really appreciate that I get to be part of today alongside all these great nonprofits that are doing really cool things. And I think the building that Treehouse is in, the 2100 building, what makes it really special is that there's about 16 other nonprofits in the building as well. And most of the nonprofits are serving youth and young adults. And so many of our clients are served by multiple nonprofits in the building. And so it is a really special place to see folks learning and growing and challenging themselves. I'm still working remotely, but I also appreciate working in my pajamas most days. So there's trade-offs for sure. Then I'm going to share my screen. I swear I can do this. For 2 years, you would think we'd all be Zoom pros. Let's see. I'm trying to keep everything high level. I know folks have different understandings of Treehouse, and so I'll pop some links in the chat at the end that have like videos and resources to check out in case you want to learn more. But Treehouse serves youth in foster care. So we serve kids from age 0 all the way up to age 26. And we're really trying to support them so that they can pursue their dreams and launch successfully into adulthood. And so like many of us, when we think about being a kid, it might be wearing a new outfit on the first day of school, riding a bike with friends, doing extracurriculars. And we all had people in our lives that helped us get where we wanted to be, whether that was a coach, a mentor, a teacher, a parent, a caregiver. And so we work with youth in foster care to have those opportunities. So as I'm sure some of you know or assume, there's a lot that goes into the foster care system, and kids in care have experienced trauma, loss, a lot of negative things. And because of all of this stuff happening in their personal life, it affects them in schools and building long-term caring relationships. And so being in foster care is not their sole identity, you know, this is a part of their life that they're navigating, but it's not their fault. And it's not the whole being of them. And so there are some facts that a lot of youth in foster care change placements, whether that's going from different caregivers or group homes or back with their biological families. And so each time they change schools, they can lose up to 4 to 6 months of their academic progress. And then less than half of youth in foster care graduate from high school on time. So without extra supports, these things keep compounding and you keep experiencing negative outcomes. And so Treehouse has really worked hard to see, like, look at the root cause of what's happening and change the effects. And so we really step in to invest in education and essential supports so that all young people get what they want, whether that's taking Taekwondo classes or getting a new backpack or having tutoring support. We really work to make sure that the youth get what they need and have a really wonderful childhood. And so we currently work with more than 8,000 youth across the state to do that work. And so our big giant goal that we've been working on as a whole organization is by 2027, we want to make sure that 90% of youth experiencing foster care across the state will graduate from high school at the same rate as their peers, with support and a plan to launch successfully into adulthood. So that is a very meaty statement. But what that means is, you know, looking at the past graduation rate of less than half of youth in care graduating on time, we're trying to beef that up to 90% and make sure what it means to launch successfully into adulthood means different things for different youth. Some want to go to college or community college or trade school. Some are ready to start their careers. Some are very focused on supporting their younger siblings. So we want them to be successful in their endeavors, whether that's navigating financial aid, finding their first apartment, getting a driver's license. And so academics is a huge piece of getting to that 90% goal. We have educational advocacy, which is kind of emergency support. So kids that are not on a current caseload can work with an advocate in their schools to make sure they get the resources that they need. Our graduation success program works with high school age youth, and our staff have caseloads of youth, and they connect regularly. Now they're back physically in schools, but they're checking in on grades, attendance. If youth have special needs or special education plans, getting that underway, supporting them with goals that the youth are setting. So if it's like joining soccer or raising their grade from a C to a B. And Launch Success started in 2017, and that is really serving young adults, because our advocacy and grad success were going really well. But you know, when kids graduate high school, they're not fully ready to be on their own. And so Launch Success works until they're 26, supporting all of their young adult goals. We also have essentials. So if you are able to visit the 2100 building at some point, we have our Treehouse store. So the first floor of the 2100 building is a really awesome store where youth and caregivers and families can shop for free items. And we have everything from clothes, books, school supplies. Right now it is very holiday looking. So having toys and games and gifts for the holiday season. Bicycles are a really big ticket item right now. And so families can come and shop during the year and get what they need. During COVID, we have greatly changed our programs like so many folks. And so we've been doing online orders and shipping. We did a pop-up store in Spokane so families could safely shop outside in the open air for back to school season. And then we also have just-in-time funding, and that program is supporting youth requests. And so if youth have hair care needs, yearbook photos, extracurriculars, summer camps, they can request funding, and we make sure that they have those essential experiences. That just-in-time funding was really the first project that Treehouse worked on. Treehouse was started by social workers who literally were hosting bake sales and other fundraisers to have cash in their drawers, so that when they were working with their kids, they could pull out money and make sure kids got those essential experiences. And so over the years, it has morphed into being called just-in-time funding, but it's still an integral experience that we have. We also do driver's assistance. So we partnered with the state a few years ago to make driving more accessible to our youth. It's not just that momentous occasion of turning 16 and getting your driver's license. As many of you know, a car unlocks a lot more accessibility to go to work, to go to school, and not have to be so dependent on others. But a big obstacle for getting your driver's license and car insurance and permitting and all of that stuff is most youth in foster care don't have an adult to co-sign or to add on to their car insurance. So Treehouse kind of acts as the adult authority to be able to get kids all of those things. And we do receive state funding for that program. Holiday Magic, I think, is one of our most famous programs, and that is we partner with the state to deliver over 5,000 meaningful holiday gifts during the holiday season. So starting in September, caregivers get like a mailing menu of items, and they can choose one gift for each of their kids. And we have them by different age groups. So everything from like baby play mats to For the older kids, they're really into like Bluetooth speakers. We have weighted blankets. And so those gifts are delivered wrapped. And so families can have that to build memories together for the holiday season. This is a lot of data. I won't read this whole thing, but we did a lot of work the last few, it feels like years now, but 18 months to really make sure kids are getting the supports that they need in schools. When we went virtual, like so many entities, we discovered not everyone has stable internet, not everyone has a laptop. Each school district is different in what they were supporting and getting out there as quickly as possible. So we worked with youth and schools to make sure that kids had the literal tools that they needed to learn, but also thinking through how do we pivot our programs to keep them engaged in a really funky time. A lot of these outcomes don't look wonderful, but I love telling this story as a bright spot. Some youth have a really hard time in in-person schools. They're changing schools a lot. They don't have friends. Maybe they struggle with anxiety or learning disabilities. And so some of our students really thrived in a virtual setting. They trusted their Treehouse staff person. They felt comfortable learning in a virtual setting. And so even though we want to make sure that all kids are succeeding in really interesting, terrible times, it was kind of cool to hear like some youth really enjoyed being virtual. And lastly, we've been doing a ton of work during COVID to think through what is the new future of our community. We serve youth of all ages across the state. And even though our office is based in Seattle, COVID really propelled us to thinking, how do we serve more equitably across the state? And so the Treehouse store has reopened for in-person shopping, but we've kept our online ordering so that we could do statewide delivery moving forward. Our graduation success program is serving 1,300 youth across 49 school districts. And the next 2 years, we're going to grow to serve more than 300 districts. And so even though the number of youth is only growing 300 and that huge growth of school districts, we want to make sure every single youth in foster care is getting our grad success program if they're eligible. So if that school only has one youth that's eligible, we want to be in there. And so that's a really exciting, audacious moment for Treehouse of big growth. We have been hiring many, many grad success staff the last few months. We also have really strong legislative advocacy work. And so this year we were able to secure over $1.6 million for the Washington foster care pandemic aid. And that went to alumni of foster care, so adults. And we funded things like rent, food. So many folks were losing their jobs. They couldn't secure housing. They were taking care of themselves and others that were getting sick. And so this pandemic aid was really integral into making sure that security and safety needs were being met. And then lastly, students are kicking butt and taking names. And so 159 of our seniors graduated in 2021. And that was a very huge milestone in a virtual weird setting. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of scary things to think about in foster care, but Treehouse is really working hard that schools or youth feel successful, empowered, and really in control of their futures. And so there's a bunch of ways to get involved. I'll pop links into the chat. And yeah, I'll stick around if y'all have questions at the end of today.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. We love Treehouse. Our concluding speaker is Dom Anderson, who is the Mission Engagement Associate with Sound Generations. I'm also very much looking forward to hearing what Dom has to say. So Dom, we will allow you to please take it away. Thank you.
Perfect. I'm going to share my screen really quickly. All right, so good afternoon. As Kale mentioned, I'm the Mission Engagement Associate with Sound Generations, and I'm actually joined here today with our brand ambassador, Dale Hoover, who's been with our organization for over a decade. So he has a wealth of experience and anecdotes about some of the firsthand impacts of what we do at Sound Generations. So our mission and vision, we have 12 programs that operate throughout different senior centers. We have 5 affiliate senior centers across King County. And our basic mission is to support people in their aging journey through our accessible services and community connections. So not only are we providing a safe space for them to commute, but we're also letting them know that there are other services that we provide that can take care of some of their other needs beyond food security. And we'll go into some other programs a little bit later. Basically the core of our mission is that we believe that everyone deserves to be served, regardless of income. We specifically like to target our underserved and marginalized communities. And we really just want to let older adults, regardless of background, know that we are affirming their aging journey and that we are here for them with our programs and support. So now I want to show you guys a quick video that shows the firsthand impacts of our programs and services on older adults in our community. And it's a great video, so I think you guys will enjoy.
Or growing older, we have a lot of young adults with disabilities that we serve. And so the idea is that we have this whole suite of services that can really support people, facilitating that growth in life.
I'm in transition now to not having a car, and I got in touch with Meals on Wheels. And as time went on, I used it more and more. I'm a firm advocate of healthy living and healthy food as part of a good program.
Every day they make me aware of the fact that I'm doing something for people, because clients, they always tell you that I love you, I appreciate you, and they need our help. We have different programs within Sound Generation, such as minor home repair, tide shuttle that takes them to and from their doctor's appointments, grocery store. And then we also have pathways. If we go into a client's house and they need some help cleaning, or they may need a new mattress or a wheelchair, a walker, or anything like that, and they connect our clients up with these different resources.
Minor Home Repair is a program that serves low-income homeowners that are in Seattle, Bellevue, and Shoreline. We're trying to make it safer for the client to be in their home, and also maintain the integrity of the home itself.
Minor Home Repairs allowed me to stay in my house. There was a blanket on the outlet. Jay was the electrician. Because yeah, could have started a fire, so it prevented me from losing the house. It's a lot of peace of mind to have this service available to you for making these repairs, so that would otherwise, stress your budget out.
The mission of Sound Generations drove me to apply and keeps me here. What we do really changes lives. And every day I come to work, I know that I'm making a difference. I show up, I do a project, and at the end of it, I know it positively affected somebody's life. And that's an amazing way to feel at work. It often doesn't feel like working at all, especially in the time of COVID. Our clients are incredibly isolated. I go into homes where clients literally tell me, "You're the first person I've seen in 2 months." We focus on quality, both in our work and our interactions with the clients, and that makes all the difference.
It would really be difficult if something were to ever happen to this program. I wouldn't want to think about something like that for the clients. They're just amazed with the program, and
And they're so appreciative. I work in the industry. I know what these things cost. Sound Generations does that on a shoestring budget. They're effective and efficient with the very little funding that's available. Everything goes back to the client. And that makes a profound difference in people's lives. Sound Generations is one of the best investments in our community that you can make. Every dollar helps. We really appreciate all of your donations, and so do our clients.
I feel like part of the answer is Sound Generations. You know, they help me out, they've got my back. It's a very wonderful program for people so that they can stay in their home.
I smile every time I see Corey and the other ones that have been helping me are very friendly. And so for an old guy pretty much stuck at home, to have a cheery voice to look forward to every Thursday is a treat.
All right, thank you. Now again, these are our 5 affiliated senior centers. We're located pretty much all over the city of Seattle and the east side. We have Ballard Northwest, Snow Valley, Incarnation, West Seattle, Lake City Northgate, and Shoreline Lake Forest Park. But in our other programs, our community dining, we have different satellite sites as well as our Meals on Wheels. So we pretty much have the whole Puget Sound covered. So our 4 pillars at Sound Generations are food security, transportation, health and wellness, and assistance services. And we've been around for 54 years now, serving low income and underserved populations. So again, like I mentioned in the beginning, our services are structured in a way to where older adults and aged neighbors can get whatever they need. And it's not just under one umbrella. A lot of our programs work together to connect clients to the proper resources they need, making sure that everything can get covered at a low cost. So our core values at our organization are collaboration, integrity, service, inclusion, and community. We really like to make sure that, again, like we are bridging the gap between our community and our clients, and that no one feels left alone or that they're not receiving what they need, because we're being very intentional about what we deliver. So this is a little bit more in depth about what our programs are under the 4-pillar structure. So under food security, we have Meals on Wheels and community dining. So the pandemic has affected the community dining to where the sites aren't open for our older adults to come and eat in person. But what has happened is we pivoted to taking to-go meals. And so these 2 programs tend to ensure that regardless of the circumstances, there's always going to be a fresh, nutritious meal available for them. And so at our different community dining sites, we have different populations we serve. So all of our meals are culturally competent. For example, at our Kawabe House site, we have panko fried oysters that our Japanese clients love. And so it's just a really, really great program because we are accessing all of their needs and making sure that at the end of the day, like they're not going without a meal. And it's a nice thing to see. And so on our transportation pillar, we have the Hide Shuttle and volunteer transportation. And so what our transportation pillar is really about is meeting clients where they are, because older adults have issues with mobility or may not be preferred to drive around the city. So our Hide Shuttle and volunteer transportation are pretty much volunteer-led, and they will take clients to their appointments, errands, grocery shopping, you name it. So it's just a really great program to let our clients know that you can get anything done, and you don't have to worry about having to rely on a family member or caregiver to get around, because there's volunteers willing to help at any given moment. And thirdly, we have our health and wellness pillar, which falls under our fitness and fall prevention classes and health management. So we really believe in the power of a mind-body balance. And so we have 70 new virtual classes this year, actually, just to ensure that our older adults are staying fit, active, and healthy, and making sure that their environments are, safe, and just making sure that there's nothing there that could cause them to have a fall. But even if they did have a fall, we have staff on go ready for that moment. So lastly, our largest pillar, we have our assistance services. And so we have pathways, information, and assistance, minor home repair, senior rights assistance, We Care Medicare, caregiver support, and Grad. So our pathways, information, and assistance program is pretty much a program that connects a lot of our older adults to whatever they need. They're there to answer questions. They act as counselors, they act as resources. So it's really just great to know that adults have that if they need any questions answered. And again, like all of our programs are interconnected to where there's a lot of open collaboration and it's easy for an older adult to get connected to what they need. And our minor home repair, as you saw in the video, just ensures that older adults are living in environments that are safe, free from toxins and other hazards that might affect their health in the long run. And we branch out to different areas across the Sound. So anyone can get a low-cost minor home repair, and that's just one of the great things about that program. And so our Senior Rights Assistance Program is pretty much in place to help older adults understand the paperwork and some of their legal rights and things of that nature. Because sometimes it can get kind of frustrating to have to deal with a lot of paperwork. And we serve clients who have disabilities as well, and they may not know how to necessarily fill out some of the different documents that are needed. So we like to have staff who are there to help them and provide them along the right path and just make sure that they're getting their needs met in that way so that they can live a more peaceful life. And so We Care Medicare is actually our newest program. And so we have Medicare consultants on deck now to just ensure that our older adults are getting the health insurance coverage that they need and that all of their benefits are essential and comprehensive to them and their wellness. And our caregiver support, I'll go into that a little bit more. And our Grad Program is Geriatric Regional Assessment Team, and it's a team of individuals who are social workers essentially, and they go out to our clients just to provide wellness checks and welfare checks to make sure that they're living in a safe environment and that they're in good health and that there's no any hazards such as falling or dementia or things of that nature. So again, we like to make sure our services are pretty comprehensive. And at this moment, I will pass the floor over to Dale to speak a little bit about his experience working with some of the assistance services programs.
Thank you for the invite, and it is talk about some really important things. I like to, because when I'm out talking, I'll say I married the only daughter, and what does that mean to them? They'll look at you funny. And the thing is that at the time I was in a wheelchair, and I had no knowns that Sound Generations had. My mother-in-law, every place she did not need to go, and had I known that I could have simply done it was Senior Services on Generations, I could have made it corrected me to the caregiver people, and they would have just acknowledged that I did not possess. And so that was an error on my behalf. Information that is readily available program, which was our old information, names and phone numbers of persons. So we want to make sure a person doesn't the merry-go-round just trying to get us. So we're able to do that. Our people have heard most of ever able to maybe just take care of, made that call. So it's extremely important to know Meals on Wheels and transportation, but sometimes want an honest answer. Oh, we are proud at Sound Generations to our people. And Dom, I think you did a great job in all the other programs, but I used to be, we try to aid beater, all helping an individuals remain into their home and to assure them that we at Sound Generations that are out there, we totally care with what we do. And so I'll turn it back over to you, Doug. Final thoughts.
So this is our caregiver support program. And again, like I mentioned, it's about guiding caregivers on their journey. And so a stat is that 16% of caregivers in King County report concerns for their mental and physical health, because it can be a toll to have to take care of somebody else and just make sure that their wellness is right before taking care of their own needs. So we have advocate staff who help with identifying community resources and just selecting their best options for receiving help. So what we do provide for our caregivers is caregiver counseling, which is where they have support groups for the caregivers to, just kind of get more information about the best practices and how to receive balanced treatment and support between taking care of their own needs and taking care of their loved one who may have a developmental disability. So we really like to make sure that we can arrange home visits, follow-ups, and just overall comprehensive services in that nature. So this is just some data about the impact that we've had during the pandemic. A lot of what happened with COVID is that the need for a lot of our programs went up. And so we were able to see our numbers go up, especially for Meals on Wheels and Hide Shuttle. Again, as I mentioned, mobility issues, especially with the pandemic, have caused a hesitancy to go out, but we have been able to provide 117,000 rides to the doctor and other essential services. And with Meals on Wheels, we've been able to deliver over 480,000 nutritious meals. So these numbers continue to rise, and we're only a staff of 177 employees, but we have amazing volunteer support, and our volunteers really step up and show out because they're connected to the mission, and they really want to see individuals and our older adult community at large receive the support that they need. So we're just really proud of the work we can do throughout our different 4 pillars and our 12 programs. So again, as I mentioned, we have 20 Meals on Wheels satellite sites, but we stretch pretty far and beyond. So we go far north as Bothell, as far south as Enumclaw, far west is Vashon Island, and as far east as Carnation. And what we really like to do, as I mentioned in the beginning, we like to make sure that we're intentionally targeting the areas that have more people of color. They may live in underserved areas, below the poverty level. So there's different access to all of our programs throughout the region. And so we really like to make sure that no one feels isolated physically or just socially and such. So we're really proud of that, and we hope to expand in the future. So this is just a little bit of information about how you could support us. So at Sound Generations, we believe in the power of the dollar. So there's impact in every single contribution. And what we have here is you can make a gift today and give an older adult a quality of life. So we believe that if you donate $50, you can help a caregiver receive a counseling session so that they can best provide support to their loved one with a disability. And next, you have getting involved. So we do have plenty of volunteer opportunities and ways to jump right in the action at Sound Generations. Usually in the annual cycle, it has changed because of COVID, but we have 2 events, the Inspire Positive Aging Awards and the Golden Gala. And so the Inspire Positive Aging Awards is a nice event where different community members will nominate older adults in their community under different categories, and they're honored with a luncheon, and it's just a great event just because we see the connections that people have made throughout the year. And our Golden Gala, it tends to highlight our community dining efforts. And this past year, we highlighted our East African Senior Meal Program. So that was just a really nice time. And it was virtual. It was a really nice time just to kind of honor our community members and the people who support us. So we do also offer virtual opportunities. And I will talk a little bit more about our new client outreach connection program called the Buddies Connection. But if you would like to get involved or if you feel inspired, I will drop the link in the chat to our volunteer webpage. And my email is also on the screen. I will drop that in the chat as well, in case you feel like learning more information about ways to get involved with our organization. Oh, so I'm sorry, I didn't include the slide about our Buddies Connection. But our Buddies Connection is a program that is offered through different formats. We have a phone call, video call, and pen pal program. So just as we like to make sure that no older adult is isolated in their own community through our senior services and so on and so forth, we also want to make sure that the community members such as you all are able to have that one-on-one connection and an intimate experience just by getting to know an older adult beyond the programs we offer at Sound Generations. So it's a great program because it really, inspires that connection between 2 people who may not be alike, but they can find out through talking that, there's a lot more to offer, and that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and that a lot of our older adults are in situations where they're more prone to being isolated, especially due to the pandemic. So it's really great to see eager volunteers come on board to be paired up with an older adult and just kind of have that camaraderie and that support. So it's a really great program. And again, if you would like to get involved or learn more, I will drop the link to the volunteer website in the chat. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, each and every one. And we are right on the time of 1 minute left for questions. So if anyone has a really quick question, we'd be happy to have you field it, or we can just put things in chat. I wanted to thank everybody, both those who are listening and those who presented. I learned a lot. I was very moved, and my grandmother was a recipient of Meals on Wheels, and I had no idea it was connected to Sound Generation. So all of you do awesome, awesome work and make a difference in our community. So we thank you, and we look forward to going out and doing great things. So we're right on time. I want to release everybody back to their real world lives, and have a great fall, everyone. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.